All right, so my name is Doug Miller. I'm the newest member of the DCS, joined a couple months ago, and was fortunate enough to get stuck with my first project being the antivirus software on campus. So, my name, if you ever have any questions as I'm kind of working through this. So the project is got kind of a narrow scope as far as I'm concerned. You can see the purpose up there. We really we're driven by the fact that we're at the end of a 7-year contract with Symantec. That contract will have to be renewed, and so we need to understand kind of where we are now in the use of that product, use of other products. And then, so the scope of this is really restricted just to the endpoints. I'm not looking at, protecting Exchange and SharePoint and back-end services stuff. I'm really just focusing on endpoints. I want to take a look at not only the current devices we have, but also, any devices that we kind of see on the horizon that we might need to be worried about in any future sort of long-term contract. And then also, I'm looking at it because we kind of have two communities. We have a group of folks that have a lot of unmanaged clients, clients that you might load it on, but then the user is responsible for updates and running the scans and stuff. And then we also have some more highly managed environments where you push out the software, you are scheduling the scans, and you're verifying that they're running and that. So we have kind of both worlds, and so I'm trying to look at those requirements and where we are on both of those so we can begin to build what we need for the next contract. So a little bit about where we're at and what I've done so far. I've had some conversations with the IS Pro folks to just kind of see what they think is going on in this service space and to make sure that we cover whatever requirements they might have. I've met with the ITS folks, the BAMS guys, and a few others to kind of understand what services they do internally, which is mostly on the back-end side, the back-end servers. But I also wanted to understand what services they thought they were providing out to you guys as it related to antivirus. I've done a couple things with this group, the LSPs. Some of you may have seen the survey that Kristen sent out a couple of months ago, or a month or so ago. We got some really good feedback, but that was actually to solve a different problem that we were having. It wasn't really directly related to the problem I'm working on or the project. And so I've gone back out and I've asked a few of the selected people in the room for some more data and feedback to kind of help me understand the scope of the problem. And what I've spent some time today on and hope to have out to you later today is a second follow-up survey, and I'll talk a little bit more about that before I wrap up. The other thing that we found is that the primary install base, the things that you guys are using for just about everything is really the Symantec products and also the Microsoft product. There are some other sort of products that people are using for the Mac world and Linux, and I had somebody describe it to me as, when those two don't work, then I go to this other product because I know it'll clean it. And so there are a few of those products as well out there. One of the other things that's been important in this, that's kind of been a game changer that I think will help shape the future is, for those of you that don't know, Microsoft in their latest release of what they now call System Center Endpoint Protection now has a virus protection endpoint for both Mac and for Linux. And so I think that opens up some new opportunities for us to explore. And so that was another reason that we decided to do the survey.
Yeah, I don't suppose you have any experience with those other platform clients from System Center.
I I have loaded it on mine and it runs. But I'm not, like managing lots of them. I know Zeke and a few folks have been playing around with it, and I don't know, Zeke, if you've got enough to talk
It
to
does run, and it's not doesn't seem to be a resource hog as some antivirus can.
Because I know I've tried Sophos on the Mac, and it was untenable, to say the least. And we're currently upgrading to the next version of System Center at the NRAO where I'm working from. And so I did not know that. No one in the Windows team has brought this to my attention, that, hey, we can protect Macs too.
It was subtle. There was no announcement from Microsoft.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want, you can either email me or I have that software. It's loaded out if you have access to the select server.
No, I'm not officially part of the university.
Okay.
But we have, I think, a pretty similar license with System
Yeah,
Center.
and so if you go out, if you have somebody that gets to the license manager and download software, it's out there. It's just literally called System Center Endpoint Protection for Mac and Linux.
Yeah.
Anybody else? So as I've been trying to gather the data and formulate it and figure out how I put this together in some sort of report to the ITS leadership, we've kind of come up with these sort of pairings and groupings. So we've got to worry about students, obviously, and we also need to worry about faculty and staff. We have a group of folks that are doing completely unmanaged. We have other people that are sort of unmanaged, but they're using some group policy or OU policies to do some level of management of that. And then we have people that are doing highly managed clients, and so we need to look at all of those options and make sure we've got the licenses and capability to keep doing that and with the new contracts. And then we've got all of these different groups, agencies, and foundations that we need to consider as we work through this process. And then the last piece really is the home use. I mean, obviously, through the Symantec existing license, we get home use capability, which it's kind of an add-on, but I think it's probably something I want to continue to consider. And so again, we just need to make sure we keep that in our use cases. So here's the timeline. I'm in a sort of the data gathering process right now. And the next big component of that is the survey I hope to have sent out to you before the day's out. And it's pretty simple. Hopefully it won't take you very long to do. I'm just looking for sort of counts on how many. Part of the struggle I'm having is what are the volumes we're dealing with. I mean, I know we got some offices that are doing all Symantec and some are doing all Forefront, but how many, so we can begin to kind of shape what a new license might look like. What do we need to go after in that? And so the data gathering is really a lot about the data points and how many's, but also there's some opportunity on here to give me some other feedback. I think there are other things I need to consider as I'm doing the analysis. And then I hope to have that analysis wrapped up by the 16th of November and have a project report out to the ITS leadership in early December. So with that, I think that's the end for me. And any questions I can answer for anybody?
Yeah, I don't mean to sound negative here, but are we making a mountain out of a molehill out of this? Why don't we just renew the contract and move forward?
Have you ever used anything besides Symantec?
No, but
Yeah, okay. We just switched away from Symantec over to Forefront. Boy, are we happy. Boy, are we happy.
okay, that's it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm only one data point. But
Part of the reason that I think we need to do the analysis is Forefront's a component of a product of a license that we already own, so there's no additional cost to use it. But if there's still requirements for Symantec, it's not as big as it was when we got that license 7 years ago when we were covering everything in the university. In fact, it may be bigger than that, because part of it is how many other endpoints out there, and what other things do we need to cover? And so we just, before we can restructure a contract, how big it is, we really need to do the analysis. And hopefully the other side of the analysis is you'll get some feedback from other folks that are doing different things, and maybe you can find an easier, better way to do what you're doing. I know this is a high volume, lots of energy problem for a lot of you. It takes a lot of time. Any other questions?
I might just add on for Brad that we were paying a lot of money for Symantec, and is it worth that price when we could use that money for other purposes? What's the trade-off? I mean,
that's the analysis.
Part of this report.
Right, exactly.
Well, we stopped using Symantec when 7 came out because of the issues we were having with CPU usage and just failures. The additional firewalling and network intrusion stuff that it put in there was just a lot more upkeep and overhead than we really needed or wanted. So Forefront actually became a very good product to use, and even before that with Microsoft Security Essentials. We were using that before we actually had Forefront, which is just the difference of the home versus the enterprise. And we're very happy with it. Users were very happy with it.